You're tuned in to RX Radio.
Non-sponsored shout-outs. Is that what that is?
Yeah. I think the chemical addiction forces me to shout out Zyn. Thanks, Zyn, for keeping me... caffeinated would be caffeine. Is it?
I think it's stimulated.
Stimulated, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for keeping me stimulated. Yeah, along with the caffeine.
What, and how many milligrams of that? This is not medical advice. Shout out Kyle Mackey.
Right now or per day?
Let's do both.
So this is 6.
Okay.
In a day, I try to keep it under 20, which, if you remember back to, I don't know, one of the times we were together, that number used to be 5. And now it's up to 20.
Can I make you feel a little bit better?
Please.
I was with a gentleman the other day. He shall remain nameless.
Okay.
He dropped a 50 milligram pouch under his lip.
50? I didn't even know they made those.
I don't know why. I don't know where he's getting them from. He trains with a couple Russian hockey players. But he said he did 100 once and that made him sick. And I was like, what are these? There's no way that's legal.
Yeah. 50 would make me barf for sure. Stu does like 3 or 4 of the 6s at a time. So he's getting up there. But Stu's also, he's Stu.
He's unwell is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I still call him Lay Quadzilla, even though his Instagram account is Stu Kodiak Barbell. I was like, nah, Lay Quadzilla for life.
Yeah, I fuck with that. Yeah, the sponsorships I'm trying to get are Zyn and Glock right now. That's it.
That about sums you up. Yeah, I feel like that could be like a trend on TikTok. Like, sum up your personality with 2 desired sponsorships.
Yep. Yeah, that fits.
Jesus, what would mine be?
Let's hear it.
I don't know. What do I use every day? I think like Jordan shoes would be nice.
That's a way better choice than mine.
Yeah, I don't know what my other one is. I think I'd like to be sponsored by NyQuil so I could get a fucking nice... that'd be ideal if I could just get promethazine as a fucking...
Drinking lean in your Travis Scott's?
Yeah, that's gotta be a Little Wayne lyrics. That has to. If it's not, it's going to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a wild time. I'm so grateful for you and the guys that are on like the gram of caffeine a day and the Zyn, praying to the Zyn lords.
Yeah.
I just never, I don't know what it is. I went hard on the Adderall train, probably harder than most.
Yeah.
I think I'm stimmed out, hence maybe the no sleep ever again in my life.
That's fair, yeah. I just have really shitty sleep, and I wonder why. And then I realize that I drink a gram of caffeine and have a bunch of nicotine every day, and I'm like, oh, no, I know exactly why I can't sleep.
It's the equivalent of you trying to fall asleep with a cigarette in your mouth on the couch. Just got 4 lips in. Jesus Christ. Anyways, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for being here, if you're listening.
Dude,
I don't know why.
Man, I'm glad you're still here. I'm always glad I'm still here. So people are still listening, which is wild, because there was a point in history where that was not the case.
That's very true. Yeah, and it's always good to be back on these with you, man. It takes me back to the beginning. You know what? I actually listened to part of our first episode of RX Radio like 2 days ago, because I was going back and forth with our trademark lawyer, and I wanted to see how soon we started using the mark mobility, stability, strength. I didn't know exactly when we started using that, so I'm like, I wonder if we say it in our first episode. I listened to like half of it, but it was hilarious.
I love how that would probably got said in the second half, where you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I can't listen. I've been living this every day since. I don't need to do it again.
I can't live as these 2 idiots in a time capsule about how bad life was. Oh my God.
Way worse back then.
It's been a minute. Yeah. Just keep on keeping on. So welcome back, another episode of RX Radio. You are joining us today on this. I love that we record these really close to when we release them now on Monday, April 8th. Now, disclaimer, if you are listening to this and you're not in the Eastern time zone, do a bit of mathematics and figure out when it's 9:30 a.m. in the Eastern Standard time zone. And so do it for you. That's 6:30 a.m. on the West Coast. I'm bad at this. Maybe an extra 4 hours on that if you're in the UK. GMT plus 4. That would be 1:30, if I'm not mistaken. Add another 2 on that. You're in Dubai. Okay, that's the end of my ability to transfer time zones on a dime. Prescript level 1 spring semester is currently open for registration. you can head to www.pre-script.com and go to hit the little red button. It'll be on the homepage, PSL1, and you can register today. Class starts May 27th. Now, if you're not familiar with the course, Prescript is an applied biomechanics functional anatomy course that me and Jay started, I can't even remember how many years ago, pre-COVID.
2017, 2018?
2017. It is a 16-week course taught by myself. This semester will be myself, James McIntosh, James Thayer, and one Killian Hamilton. There are 4 lectures a week to which you do not have to attend. We prefer it if you do. If you cannot make one of the 4, all the 4 of the week are the same. They're just meant to accommodate for those who might have scheduling conflicts so that we can get it in live. If you can't make it, all 4 lectures are uploaded into your student portal for you to review. You will be sent, I got one here, one of these. This is the Prescript Level 1 manual, and you will be expected to go through all of the things in the 4 months we are together. Now, on top of that, like any good education system, at least post-secondary education system, there are lab components. What is a lab? Great question, Jordan. I'm glad you asked. A lab is where you show up and you ask questions to your professors. In this case, there are 7 labs a week, if I'm not mistaken, with the RidPath lab. We just added, we have 7 labs a week. So we talk about course material, specifically athletic development. We talk about technique and execution. So we bring in live screen shares of people and their clients or their lifts, and we go through everything. It is single-handedly, without fail, the most robust education resource there is in the training, physical therapy, chiropractic, strength and conditioning space, hands down, bar none. And it sets the stage for the Prescript Level 2 course, which sets the stage for the Prescript Level 3 course, which is a 6-day internship training professional athletes alongside myself, my colleague here, Dr. Jiunta, Killian Hamilton, Dante Martella, and Yo Murphy down in Tampa Bay, Florida. So we train everyone from NBA athletes to NFL athletes to NCAA combine kids to Major League Baseball to National Hockey League. So you learn all the stuff, and then you do all the stuff, which if I had to talk about trademark lawyers and say, what is it that Prescript is known for? It's for doing all the stuff. So not only do you learn the things, you learn how to apply them. So yeah, pretty proud of what we put together. Semester, as I mentioned, starts Monday, May 27th. 16 weeks of lectures, 4 lectures a week, 7 labs a week. I forget the total number of hours. It was at one point 196, but with an additional lab, it's obviously more than that. So, and with an additional 2 lectures a week, it's something to the effect of 250 plus hours. And plus you get to connect with the coolest group of people around the world, in my opinion, my humble opinion. So yeah, PSL1 up for sale now. Head on over www.pre-script.com. Register and secure your seat. May 27th start. Pumped.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if the fuck yeah really seals it.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's awesome. And the best part is getting to interact with everyone too. So, I mean, I get to teach one of the labs still. I'm there Wednesday mornings. So if you guys are in, hop in the lab, come on in, bring your questions. We'll have a conversation. That's my favorite part about it.
Yeah, it's nice now where it's weird to me, and I'm sure it's the same to you as the founders of the company, that you go places and people know about it, which is like, obviously we've had like thousands of coaches go through it, and then all of our other courses alongside of that. And it's just like, it's a thing. And it's weird to be two guys that just made a thing. Because like the thing that I have, using the word thing a lot in a sentence, is from an education perspective, we are the only founder-led education company that's actually making strides. So if you're accredited by NASM, NSCA, or ACE, you get CEU hours for this, which I think is another thing unique that we do that a lot of educators don't do. And we're actually going to, and I don't want to spoiler alert, but we have a pretty big thing coming down the pipe. And maybe you just trust us that it's massive. And that, you know, we definitely appreciate everyone who's been a part of it so far, but definitely reinvesting so that this isn't just a mentorship. Like, this isn't just two guys just telling you about their day. The podcast is just two guys telling you about their day. But this is like a thing that we've basically dumped everything back into for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
And to make sure that, you know, you're not just taking a course and paying for some dude's vacation. I can't remember the last time I took a vacation, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's actually going into like future-proofing your career. Like, we've had people come out of jobs interviews in the professional ranks of, you know, baseball, NBA or MLB, NBA, NFL, and the athletic director interviewing them, or the general manager goes, "Oh, Prescript, you know Jordan and Jordan." It's like, "Yep, you're hired." So we pride ourselves in it being an accelerant, which is, so it's not just like, I did a 3-week mentorship. It's like, no, like it's a thing. And it will be even more of a thing, mark my word, when we have this conversation in a year from now. So, excited as always for another semester. The reason we teach it live, this is another point of differentiation that we will never automate the distribution of the course. You know, because the things always change and interpretations change. And like you said, the conversations change, right? I've taught every Prescript level 1 since its inception in 2017, in person and online. And I can tell you that no two lectures are the same. I mean, we have a core curriculum that we stick to, but every time I do the lecture on shoulder anatomy, every time I do the lecture on hip anatomy, there's some other bullshit like that's in vogue at the time that we need to like discuss and unpack and take a look at the principles and how we might learn this principle into the future to help us better solve these programs that sort of, or problems that sort of come up in vogue and sort of the ever-changing nature of the space that we operate in. So, you know, that is another point of pride, that it's not just recorded and slapped up and like this, you know, link in bio type shit. It's like, no. Like, as two guys that went to school for like a really long time, I can tell you this is kind of like school, in the sense that, like two guys that went to school for a long time, we have something to show for it. Not just on paper, which is a giant receipt in our case, but like the stuff we do directly correlates to the stuff we know. And as mentioned before, if there's a tagline for Prescript, it's people who do stuff. So yeah, anyways, Prescript level 1, that's us paying the bills. You know what? I'd rather, I think, listen to, and you can disagree with me on this if you want, I'd rather listen to two guys talk about a thing they built from nothing than listen to some podcast host peddle athletic greens. Right? What you're going to get here is you're going to get nicotine and a lot of education. That's what we're peddling. We're peddling your future.
Yeah. The reason we're so stimmed up is so that we can educate you.
Yes, yes. He's stimmed for your sins, I think, is what Jay just said. I believe. I'll have to double check that with Stu. I don't know if that's how it works.
I don't know.
Last week we did a Q&A, and we had a really good question that came out of it, and it was from our good friend, the Violent Patients, in just up the road. In Toronto, just up the road from me, rather. And the question was so good that we thought, well, maybe we should just do an entire podcast on that. And that's how we kind of like, I don't know, reward seems like the wrong word because the Violent Patients is the dude. But that, like, pay homage and maybe like curtail, like, hey, the rest of your questions were good, but they weren't whole episode good. And that's what we're looking for. This is a whole episode good question. So the difference between exercise and training, to me, is the difference between coaching and personal training. And out of the gate, there's not a good or bad of either of those terms. It's just an understanding of what the goal is. And I think the reason that we exclusively call what we do a coaching program is, I think all people who can coach at a certain level have a little bit more aptitude as trainers, where trainers might have a limited scope in the coaching world. Now, you might be at this point asking me, Jordan, what the fuck are you talking about? Which, hey, fair question. Coaches work with people who compete at something. Trainers work with people who don't. And there is as much honor and distinction and impact made at the personal training level and as at the coaching level. So I think coach itself as a moniker, and I think we may be somewhat to do with this delineation of coach and personal trainer over the course of the last 7 years as we certify coaches. not trainers. People who come to us are trainers. They have a personal training certification. We teach them the principles of coaching, which is like making your own decisions, and more importantly, making decisions faster in situations that matter a lot. And that's where I would say a coach operates with a much less margin for error and with much more urgency. I would say that is something to distinguish of a coach to a personal trainer. And I think to answer the question, sort of out of the gate, what's the difference between training and exercise? Exercise would be something that is overseen by a personal trainer. Training is something that's overseen by a coach. Thoughts?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I will take it back to one of the first things that you said is that the goal. What is the goal? Someone that wants to exercise, their goal is to get in the gym and get done with their workout, right? That's personal training. That's the clients that probably you have had, I have had in the past. I don't have anymore. I'm sure that you don't have anymore. But the people that just kind of want to come in and tell you about their day and have you tell them to move for a bit. The clients that I fucking hated having when I was training. It's like, yes, I need your money, so I'm going to entertain this, but I enjoy nothing about this. Versus when we're talking about training, there's some sort of athletic goal, right? And I like to think of this like training parallels practice to me, right? An athlete is going to go to practice, and training is kind of the same thing. Is that when we're in the gym, we're training movement patterns, we're practicing movement patterns, we're bolstering movement patterns that are going to have a positive feedback into the end goal being something that is athletic. So on the flip side of that, the coaching or being a coach versus being a trainer, the big difference is the hardest part of being a trainer is getting people to come in to the gym and do a session, right? You need to sell personal training. The hardest part about being a coach is that there's consequences to the decisions that you make, right? It's positive, negative. Either it's getting them closer to the goal, the end goal, or it's getting them further away from it. So I think those are the two big differentiating factors. And I think it's goal oriented. What is the goal of the person that's coming to you? Is it to get a workout in and go home and keep living their life? Or do they have some sort of athletic pursuit that they need to get better at? And there's a consequence to the decisions that you make in that session with them.
I think it brings up a point that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And one of the reasons I like coaching athletes or people attempting to compete at something, maybe as a broader term, although I carry those two, they're kind of ubiquitous, synonymous terms, is this idea of opportunity cost. That the exercise is so inherently safe that it's very, someone asked me the other day a question in my Q&A about like the butt wink. And it's like, is the butt wink dangerous? And my answer was the Democratic Republic of Congo is dangerous. The butt wink is just like a weird way people squat, sometimes maybe on purpose, and sometimes maybe it's something we can do. There's something we can do about it. But it's like, there's this idea of opportunity cost that really gets lost. And it's something that I've really become acutely aware of in running this business alongside you and Matt Penny for, the number of years that we've all been together. And that's the idea that like, okay, you can make a decision that might not be harmful, but if it's not the best decision, the resources you are dedicating to that decision are net negative, and you'll never know. And that's the worst part about exercise. There's an invisible enemy that you don't get to A/B test your success against. That if nothing goes wrong, and this is where the fear mongering that stems a question like, is butt wink dangerous, which is like so hilariously inane to someone who's been doing this for, I don't know, more of my life than I've been 20 years maybe at this point. Yeah. That idea, it stems from the metric of success of training is injury. The metric of success of coaching is winning. That's the measuring, or that's the way it should be. But the problem, I think, when the coaching space is so diluted now, that the measuring stick for coaching is becoming staying injury free and not winning anymore. And it's like, to your point earlier, you were saying about, you have to convince, you have to sell someone on coming in to the gym to train them, right? But to a person that you coach should be, there's a level of buy-in there that obviously supersedes the financial. There's a level of emotional attachment to achieving the end goal, which in some minor cases, the goal might be completion or participation. I want to run a 5K. Okay. More power to you. I do not want to run a 5K, and I would not show up to the gym. And you would really have to sell me on that. But, that would obviously not be my goal. When you're dealing with an athlete, you need to understand, and this is catch-22 that people really struggle with, the more skill-based the sport or the endeavor is, the more your decisions matter, but they also simultaneously, paradoxically, matter less. But it doesn't mean, if you're a personal trainer, for example, let me kind of play this out in two scenes. We have a personal trainer with a client, and we have a strength coach or a coach with an athlete. And we're just going to throw arbitrary numbers at the board. When it comes to the desired result of hey, maybe lose weight and don't get hurt, the trainer plays a pretty big role, at least one of those, losing weight, right? If the trainer does a good job and can consult them on nutrition and energy in, energy out, put together some good sessions, they see them consistently enough, they should be able to help someone lose weight. So the trainer probably has 30% ability to influence that desired result. If the person's drinking their face off and blowing the city up their nose every night, it's that 30% and they're doing all the other 70% wrong. There's still the desired result might not be achievable. A strength coach, I don't know, 7% influence on that. I don't know why I picked such an arbitrarily low number, but it's if DK Metcalf eats 4 bags of candy a day, which he is on record saying he does, that strength coach 7% better be 7%, the 100% of that 7%. But even if it's not, he's still going to be great, right? But can he be legendary? And that's his 7% is going to make him legendary. And that's a big consequence for someone who's dedicated their entire life to achieving that goal of winning. So it's it is paradoxical in the sense that you play a much more impactful role, but you play a much smaller role, which people have a hard time delineating those two. And this is where I think there might be, even if you think about that concept, there might be a draw towards being a personal trainer. I actually want to be a bigger part of someone's success. Yeah. Cool. And if you want that, and I think one of the things we're seeing now is trainers or coaches rather want to be a bigger draw or a bigger part of an athlete's success. It's motherfucker, right. You're 7%, homie. Be the 100% of that 7%. But at the end of the day, right, a lot of athletes are good in spite of themselves, not because of themselves, and in some cases not because of you either. So it is a little bit paradoxical on the face of it. So, and coaching is fairly thankless because guess what? If they get hurt,
you're fucked.
Pack a bag, homie. Pack a bag. You might as well join the military because your family's going to be moving around a lot. But if you do 100% of that 100% and really go above and beyond is still 7%, then you could hang your hat at night. There are bad things that happen to great athletes with great coaches. That's the nature of sport. And it's that stomach, that fortitude to ante up and be this happens. That's an ACL. Yeah, this happens. That's a shoulder labrum. Yeah. You play a ridiculous, you do a ridiculous thing that by definition, not many other people in the world can do. And that's why you make a living out of it. But that's an occupational hazard. So that to me is when we look at the major differences. And this is more so from the eyes of a coach or a trainer, maybe looking to make that move. Because there was a bit of turbulence as I transitioned my career from training to coaching, where it's dude, I was a sick personal trainer. Are you joking me? Don't get hurt, lose weight. Crushing it. No problem. You just sit there like a fucking wizard. The thing is for me, is there's a skill set that you can achieve, I think, relatively quickly to be a great personal trainer. And you can ride that out and you could just tap this principle-based system that you have and create great relationships, have the same clients forever, increase your rates, make a ton of money, maybe go online, maybe train people online and live a happy life. But the problems don't get any more complicated.
Right.
The risk doesn't go up. You sort of just are playing around in this little kid's pool And which is like, some people make big splashes in that kid's pool, and they're doing, you know what? They're doing way better than me. They've slept. They have watches that I want. They drive cars that you want. And it's just like, and that's okay. And that's the thing, is I think that's okay. And so when we talk about what is the difference between training and exercise, I think there's a romanticized version of coaching that I don't think people really appreciate, or if once they experience it, they go, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. That's like, you got to love the shit if you're a coach.
Yeah. You said a lot there, and there's a couple points that I want to pull out of that. When it comes to training athletes, especially when we're talking professional athletes, these are outliers, right? If we're talking about, I don't know, 1% of college athletes go to the NFL, and I don't know what the actual percentage is. I'm just making up numbers now, like you, and I'm going to use your 7%. There's going to be a bunch of those people who are like maximizing every single thing that they can to get into the league. And there's going to be very few people there that are just in every way complete outliers. And as we look at those two populations of people, it's almost like the proportions that you said of personal trainers are going to be, 30% responsible for the success of their clients that just want to exercise, versus there's going to be the 7% of the coaches, the strength coaches, that are going to be responsible for success and performance. Well, if you look at that top 1% of people that are going to try and get into the NFL, the people that have less of an innate ability, they're going to be more responsive to the things that they do in training, to rely on those to be able to train, to get better, to increase their athletic capacity so that they have a chance at getting the contract or getting drafted, whatever it means to them to get to that next level. Versus the people that are just complete outliers, they can eat 4 bags of candy. They can do whatever the fuck they want in the gym, and they're just going to be a complete outlier. Like a sport, and I don't follow boxing very much, but boxing is a sport that I think it blows out these proportions, like to the absolute ends. If you think of like Mike Tyson or like Floyd Mayweather, like they are it. They are the people that, no matter what they did, they would have been successful in that sport. It doesn't matter if they're, skipping rope in the gym or doing P90X or whatever dumb exercise regimen they do. They are just such an outlier that they were born to succeed in that sport. But there's probably so many other boxers that maybe got a shot at the belt or got a shot at the championship or got to fight these guys that had to put in blood, sweat, tears every single day in the gym just to be able to get that shot. And when we're talking coaching, those are the people that it matters the most to. Is that, especially when we're talking in the gym, strength coaching, that's going to be the population where you can make the biggest difference, is the fringe athletes, because they're the ones that need to maximize every single variable to even have a viable chance at being able to get to that next level. And that's going to be something that, that's what separates a good strength coach from someone that got a shot because they worked with one of these outliers, right? I think that's a differentiation to be able to make there. And then the other point, branch off of something else that you said, like you being a sick personal trainer. Fuck yeah, that's dope. And I think that is a prerequisite to being a good coach in a lot of ways. Because a lot of people now that exist and call themselves coaches, they work in the online space, which there's good, bad, and whatever that comes with that. I think that to some degree you have earned the right to be a coach if you live in that space, to some degree, depending on the population you work with, because you're working with people that have that level of buy-in past, I just need to get in the gym, right? They're people that probably have specific goals to the point that they seek you out and they know that you're good at what you do and you can help them get to the next level, whatever that might be for them. But at the same time, being a trainer and working with people that have very mundane goals, that's going to teach you how to get buy-in. That's going to teach you communication, which I think is a huge, huge, huge part if you ever want to be a successful trainer or coach, you need to have the interpersonal side of things in check. You're never going to get to that next level if you can't understand how to build a connection with someone and get trust and get buy-in in a very short amount of time. So whether that's selling a personal training package or whether that's like walking into a gym full of college athletes that are getting ready for the combine, like you need to be able to walk in that room and conduct yourself in a way that demands respect and makes you an authority in that space, right? And that's, I think people get intimidated around that, the higher level the athlete. But something I've noticed in working with higher level athletes is they don't know what the fuck they're doing in the gym a lot of the time, right? So if you're confident in what you're doing, be that authority. Like you have to be that authority. So I think there are a lot of things that you can take from that journey of being a trainer before you strive to be a coach. And you can take those and bolster those skills in that training atmosphere before you take the leap to the next level to people that have consequences to the decisions you're making in those sessions with them.
Yeah, it's so, you have to know your craft so unbelievably well, because you made a really interesting point that they don't know anything about our domain of excellence or expertise.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, they know good coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, Saban, Belichick. Trying to think. We had a guy from the Seahawks. Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
I saw 3 athletes in the last month that the previous coach they had, mind you, it was obviously a skills coach, was Saban, Belichick, and Carroll. This is what you're competing with now, right? So, like, that's the competition. The competition isn't, other coaches online. It's like, no, when I think of coaching now, it's like the element of communication rings to the forefront, right? And people think it's the other way around. People think PT is all about interpersonal relationships. Like, not really. No, you have their money and they don't have a lot of it and they give it to you. So they show up. You know how much fucking money these kids have? You have any idea? Do you have any, can you fathom how many, we had a kid just out of college. And I remember this is at the level 3 it would have been our second week because it was the Super Bowl time. So it would have been in February. Or no. Yeah, it was in February. We had a kid out of college. I'm not going to name names. And he's a tremendous athlete. He'll go in the first round. The day after the Super Bowl, the day after Jiunta
I know exactly
lost,
what you're going to say.
So the day after Jiunta lost, what'd you lose? 500 or 1,000?
On the bet you're talking about, I lost 500.
Okay, so the other bets I don't know about, you lost more money.
Yeah.
So Jay's a little bit salty, comes in, loses the Gatorade bet. Color of the Gatorade. He went
purple.
against, dude. Of course, it was purple, dog.
Of course.
They won it last year. You think they're deviating from purple?
You know, I have a high risk tolerance.
You have a bad decision-making process.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Oh, they're the same thing. It's the same hand. You're walking around with one hand. I keep a purple Gatorade in my fridge and laugh at it every day of my life. There's one, and I just laugh at it.
I don't keep $500 in my wallet because of it.
So it's like, there was a kid who, X, did you watch the game last night? A Super Bowl kid talking to a fucking college athlete. Yeah, he watched the game. He goes, yeah, I bet, what did he say, 50K? Bet 50K or 25K?
I think it was 35.
$35,000. And I just literally remember watching all the L3 kids go, oh. Just like, this, and mind you, hasn't played it down in the NFL yet. He's a great kid. He's an unbelievable athlete. He fucking deserves every penny of it. But it's like this idea that, and I see PTs banging on about communication. I see, and look, yeah, it's important. It's an important skill of the existence. I learned so much of what I know about communication from watching my father interact, and he learned that because he grew up around fucking fishermen on the Atlantic Ocean. So it's like, I learned how to communicate in hockey locker rooms. I learned how to communicate, with you talking shit about school. Like, there's a lot. So the idea that, personal training, and I like that there's an emphasis on this. I like that, but it's like, communication is not what rules the roost. Sales and communication are two different things. Communications is the thing that's left after you've sold them the dream, right? And it's that piece that's so huge when you deal with someone where money is not an issue. Okay, PT, what you have to do every single day is resell them that dream they signed up for the first day.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do. You can't do that. Your best hand as a personal trainer is gone out the door when this fucking kid's betting $35K on a football game. He doesn't give a fuck. He's losing your hourly or your annual salary in his couch cushions. What are you going to sell him now?
Yeah.
You can't. This is where communication matters. But understand when they communicate with people, it's fucking Belichick and Saban.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good luck.
And communication on that level, there's I think different parts to it that matter in different proportions depending on who you're talking to, right? Someone of that level that's working with the Belichicks, it's what you say is part of it, how you conduct yourself is part of it, but what you can make them experience, I think, is the most important part of it. That's the biggest proportion. And experience means a lot of things, but I think in the gym, it means what you can make them feel, right? If you can confidently say what they're going to feel, how they're going to feel it, and how it's going to help them, and you can make them make that connection in their own brain, then that's the level of communication that you need to have to get buy-in with people. That buy-in is past money. Buy-in is winning the Super Bowl, right? Is you need to be pinpoint accurate with the things that you say and how they're going to interact with this person's goals.
Yeah, and I love that the buy-in thing is, it is so often taught early in our careers when sales is the orientation towards sales is really a big part of it. Buy-in at the higher levels is not it's not a price objection, it's a value objection.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what you have to bring to the table. You have to provide a ton of value. And I think these are frame shifts you have to make as you attempt to go from a personal trainer to a coach, right? It's not, how do I manipulate my price? And I've had this conversation with like 3 brands in the last week about the idea of a value objection. Right, so I'm consulting with a few gym startups around the world, and I'm just like, well, we have this tier of membership, and we're this level of boutique, whatever. But for a launch, I think we should discount it. You're gonna what? You're gonna discount it. You know who's been waiting for a discount on a high-end product? My guy Jiunta here has been waiting for a 2-for-1 Porsche sale so he can buy me one, and we can get the old 2-for. Like, if you grew up in Windsor, Ontario, you're going to know the reference of Mr. Allen's. Mr. Allen's was a store in Detroit that pretty sure just sold stolen FUBU 29 or 2 for $50. Mr. Allen's. So Jay Marshall, cut this as a clip, and I'm going to put the Mr. Allen's sale pitch on. Anyone from Detroit will know 29 or 2 for $50, Mr. Allen's. You get your FUBU, you get your Echo clothing, maybe you get some lugs. See, people don't be knowing about lugs. They're talking about Uggs. No. It was lugs back in the day, homie. You don't know about lugs. If you saw a guy roll up with you with Echo jeans and lugs, you were about to lose your wallet. And that was on a good day. But it's like, if you are selling a coaching service, you need to overcome a value objection, not a price objection. So what can you bring to the table from a value perspective? Right? And sometimes it's as simple as just being really confident in the stuff you know and being dead set on what you don't. And then being like, this guy's I don't do, I have soft tissue injuries. Yeah, I'm fucking sick at soft tissue injuries. Training, yeah, I'm good at surgery. Nope, but I'll tell you who to go to. Right? Like, and I know my limitation. I know how good I am at soft tissue work and diagnostics and musculoskeletal stuff that I can go, nope. You're going to a gastroenterologist, or you're going to an ears, nose, and throat, or an endocrinologist, or whatever. And because I know where the limits are, because I've been to the end of them. I go, okay, can't do anything anymore. Here's off to someone else, and that overcomes a value objection, and a lot of that comes from communication. Right? I communicate that to someone, and it's not just, and this is where communication is, I think we're pretty widely accepted communication is 7% verbal. So if you're not watching the podcast on YouTube, go watch it. The other 93% are nonverbal. And the thing about people who've been around good coaches is they know people who are confident in their ability to achieve an outcome, right? Like the Belichicks and the Sabans and the Carrolls of the world, winners, right? So they know what it's like to be around people who know what it's like to win and know how to win. And it's hard. Like, you might not have the experience in that, and it takes a bit of reps, but know that that's the rep you're looking to perfect. Is like, how do I get results with the principles I have, and then communicate the successes I've had, not only through the words I say, but how do I carry this in myself when I walk into a situation where I'm talking to someone about coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's the other side of that too, which I feel like the proportions are skewed if we talk about trainers versus coaches, is that your actual ability to get results and how that correlates with your confidence to talk about it. Because I think there's a lot of trainers that are really good at, like you said, the sales side of things, but they don't necessarily have the ability to get the results, because the result that they're looking to get is the sale. So they say the things they need to, they have the confidence in making the sale, but then when it comes to the actual training, it's just rinse and repeat. They probably have every single client do the same exact thing Monday through Friday. But when you're looking at getting to the higher levels and you're trying to work with more athletic or clientele that has more on the line as they work with you, you have to get the results. There's no substitute for that. So when it comes to being a coach of that level, you need to be around people that coach at that level. You need to get exposure to it. You need to see what it's like. You need to see how to conduct yourself in these scenarios. You need to understand the types of drills that you're doing, what a session plan looks like, what it looks like to strategize through the off season or in season. You need to understand all these more nuanced things that might make a little bit of a difference if you're working with high school athletes. They make more of a difference when you're working with college athletes, and they are the thing that you're hired for when you're working with professional athletes. So understanding that it's not just about being confident, it's about actually being confident because you know that you're able to get those results. That's a part that we can't overlook in this whole equation here, is that none of this matters if you can't get the results.
And the thing, too, is when you're dealing at the pro level, regardless of sports, like, go to any basketball game and sit courtside and watch how many other athletes from other sports that are there. And at the end of the game, watch the basketball players go dab all of them up. It's like, if you are working in the personal training space, your pool of people is just this geographical radius that continues to just overchurn around the gym you work at. Right. So you can be very objective oriented towards sales forever, because you have this churning of your external environment that's going to bring new people in. You also have an additional sales team in most cases that's incentivizing people in a commercial gym setting, at the very least, to come into the building to get more fit, to realize they don't know how to get fit, to where you are the final boss to solve all of the problems that they have. So it's like, there's a weird sense of just an unchecked confidence that comes out of, like, do you understand the system that raised you? Do you understand that the commercial gym system is not your ability to sell, as far as, like, you're not Jordan Belfort picking up the phone and calling people and converting penny stocks, right? You're taking people who've already made multiple concessions to be in the place where you are, and getting the first yes is the hardest. Right? So, like, when you're in the freelance market or the private industry around training professional athletes, it's like, one, to my original point, they're friends with other pro athletes in other sports, right? A player is going to go throw a pitch out at an opening game, a football player. Tyreek Stevenson just threw a pitch out of the White Sox game. Now he knows everyone on the White Sox. Right? Reek did his combine with us. I think he ran a 4.2. If you watch it, he ran like a 4.25, in my opinion. Reek's probably defensive rookie of the year last year, safety for the Chicago Bears. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame All-Star. And now he knows everyone in Chicago. And that's going to be the Bulls. That's going to be the Sox. And, obviously everyone on the Bears. It's like, your shelf life as a coach who's good at selling is about as short as someone's shelf life in the NFL. And even shorter if that person's shelf life is reliant on you, a coach that's only good at selling. A little bit of a fact check. You almost nailed it. I looked it up while you were talking. 1.6%.
Wow. All right.
College athletes. There you go. There you have it. And I did a quick search on boxing as well. And the top 1% of boxing earn more than $1 million per year, and the lowest 10% of all professional boxers earn less than $19,220 per year.
That's insane.
I don't think you can do that in North America. Maybe Mexico, you probably can.
Yeah. That's nuts.
There you go.
And there's not much of a lifespan if you're not good at boxing. So there's
Right,
that
yeah,
as well.
you're talking about
Just lifespan in general.
Yeah, not even career span as a boxer.
You're not going to make it,
Yeah.
All right, so I have a question for you now. Someone that has ascended the ranks from trainer to now coaching at the highest levels and done it, I'd say the right way. Some might call it the hard way.
Some might call those two the same thing.
Right. Yeah, I am that person. So what's your advice to someone that wants to go this track in terms of their career?
Work for free. It's the only, honestly, it's the only way, because you have to, everyone wants to do it. What's going to differentiate it? I just live on the fucking streets and do it. Anyone want to do that? I don't want to do it that bad. Okay. I do. So see you later, right? Like, you just have to be, and it's funny because I remember sitting through some dickhead chiropractor coming into our school and giving some bullshit business seminar that he was like, charge these poor kids, us included. Yeah. And I remember him sitting and going through and talking about working for free. And he had a slide up from the Batman movie with the Joker, Heath Ledger. And there's a scene where he goes, well, if it's so easy to kill the Batman, why haven't you done it before, right? It was Michael Jai Scott, or whatever his name is. I think that's his name. Jack Black guy. And he goes, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And that's what this chiropractor's point was. I was like, oh my God, the arrogance of this guy whose parents paid for his way to go to school, who's not in debt, who still lives at home, who runs an insurance practice. Like, I should go out and stab the tires of his Lexus right now. And I thought nothing was more deleterious to the potential success of anyone who took that advice to heart. Nothing could have been more deleterious than that, because I'm 30 or 34 in like a month or two or whatever. And we've been out of school for a decade. Yeah. And I work more for free now than I did when I started, because I can afford to work for free more now. But out of the gate, I worked for free more than I could afford. That's why I lived in my car. But it's like, that's where the golden ticket is to the fucking chocolate factory, man. Like, if you want to cut your goddamn teeth, and it'll always be that. I do not care. You have to respect the room, and that's what it is. There's an underlying respect that's shown when you sacrifice your time for something, right? And that's the way it should be looked at. It's like you are sacrificing to the thing that you love to do, right? Like, so many traditions are built around sacrifice. Like, if you're Jewish, good luck using technology on Saturdays. That's a Sabbath. You're not going to fucking do. Why? Because it's a sacrifice. Even monarchies are like, you still got to take a knee to the queen. Is it nuts? Yeah, it's nuts. But it's a mortal taking a knee in front of something for something. It's like, if you actually like this, love this, and want to be a part of it the rest of your life, you have to sacrifice for it. I don't even look at it like a sacrifice. It is a precondition. Sacrifice is a precondition to being successful. Right? Because, so it's just, I've gone past the point of it driving me nuts, because it is such a universal truth that that's what you have to do, that I won't even entertain another answer to that question. That's what you have to do. That's why there's religions and fucking native myths, and that's the whole game, man. It's no different. It is a universal constant. So if you want to get the fuck involved, show some fucking initiative, and show that you're willing to sacrifice as a precondition to be successful. Because everyone just wants the success part. Killian just did fucking 8 weeks of a grind. Dude was down there just making it happen. Holy fuck, dude. I've done that. I've done that milk run that he's done 5 times now. And nothing goes, yeah, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And anything else is just, you're just putting a glass ceiling. But if you do that, I mean, that's a bit of a long answer, but that's what you need to do. Hard stop.
Yeah.
Get in the fucking room.
Fucking love it. Yeah, and that's something I've always noticed with everything that I care about doing, is you get the chance to do the thing you're most passionate about so sparingly in your career, right? It doesn't happen very often. So if you put another barrier up to being able to do that, then you're just limiting yourself there. So a lot of what I've done in my career is the same exact thing. Is I put things in place so that I can survive. I don't even want to say be comfortable enough, but I can survive enough to invest the time into the things that I really want to do or the things that I'm passionate about, because I don't want those to pay my bills, right? I don't want that to be the relationship between me doing something that I'm passionate about. Is that if I'm passionate about it, I'm going to do what it takes to have to do this, right? And it can't be limited by the income potential of that thing. And if you're good enough at that, or you sacrifice enough, like you're saying, you'll get in the position like yourself where that's the thing that you get to do that does make a living. But at the same time, if you put that barrier up to, I need to make a living off of this thing, then you're limiting yourself so much in the amount of opportunities that will be granted towards you to be able to do the thing that you're passionate about that you might not ever get anywhere with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still net negative time for money. Oh. Like if I went back and like now I'm trying, like my hourly rate now versus my free hourly rate then. But
Right.
then if you take, all right, what my hourly rate is now or my day rate or my week rate, and you charge it for the days and the weeks that I'm working for free now, I will never be a net positive. And my goal is to never be a net positive because I become more valuable. I think one of the axioms that I really like, one of the sort of an ethos that I've developed over time is coaches need to do it for the experience, not the credit. That's what you have to do. You have to be in it for the experience. Because, like, let me tell you something. Especially as you ascend the ranks, you talked about experience earlier. The stories you get, oh my God. I mean, I live for a good story. My whole life, I hope at the end of the day, is a great story. If people approach me like it's a good story. So I'll just be like, okay, I'm doing something right. At least that's my goal. I'm achieving my goal of living an interesting story. And this is just what people see on the internet. When you sacrifice for the experience, it's not just in a lot of cases like the experience of getting to work with an athlete that you see on TV that everyone knows hopefully make a difference, and that's 7% of what it matters. But it's like all of the other crazy shit that you get to do outside of that as a byproduct of being someone they trust. I've had this drilled into me over the years. Athletes in the United States, especially football players, grow up to be inherently, and this is probably true basketball, baseball, and hockey. And I don't think this is maybe another difference, especially when you're dealing with young athletes. Athletes grow up to be so inherently distrusting of everyone. So you actually have a uphill battle. I remember being in the clinic with, there's 2 guys in the Major League Baseball and 4 guys in the NFL, just like only a few weeks ago. And they were making a point of this and like kind of being like, yeah, no, like we trust you. And I was like, I would hope so. Like I have usually my hands around your guy's neck. And they're like, no, we trust you. And I was like, I don't get it. I'm like, someone tell me what he's saying. He's like, dog, we don't grow up. We grow up learning not to trust anyone. And I was like, are you serious? And he's like, where are you from? I was like, Canada. And he goes, and do you play sports? I'm like, not like you guys. He goes, when you grow up, and you're good at when you're good at sports, you grow up to trust nobody. And I was like, oh shit, okay. And I've had that drilled into me a few times. And it's like, if you sacrifice to the level that these kids have had to sacrifice, moving away at 16, imagine you going in front of 110,000 people as a junior or as a freshman starting in a Big Ten school, Michigan State, and you walk out and you go, oh fuck, oh no, and you keep your head on. We both barely got to college alive.
That's the truth.
And we were destined for nothing. Imagine being like a guy in high school and then going to college, and then all of a sudden people everywhere in the town you live know your name. And then you have to behave a certain way. It's like, dude, no, they sacrifice a lot. And it's never, you know what? I've been around sports and pro athletes now long enough to like really, I will always take the side of an athlete because I've been around them enough to know that I have no idea what it's like.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot empathize. Now everyone's like, oh, the money this, the money that. It's like, yeah, You know how much money it takes after a certain point for it to have a positive inflection point on your. It's not that much. Like it's like the old bottle of wine thing. I forget the study. It was something to the effect of like people can tell the difference between bottles of wine up to like $37, but not again until bottles of wine are above like $1,000. It's kind of that same thing. It's like, yeah, they have all the money, but most people who are complaining about athletes making a lot of money and they behave the way they do, or, you know, they don't behave the way they should. The athletes don't make enough for that next inflection point of your life to be that much better. And there's some athletes that do, obviously, like, you know, bronze probably worth billions. I don't know, A-Rod, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, whatever. But it's like most of the athletes that are like wilding out, that are like maybe getting into a bit of trouble, I will always, my heart breaks for these kids because like you have no fucking idea. They have all the problems you have and more, and the money that you think came at such a price that you couldn't even imagine. So that's something too. Like if you want to get with athletes, you have to have their fucking back about everything. How many times at L3 did you have to be like, yo, I'm not telling anyone about this?
Right, too many times, yeah.
Yeah, you just like, an athlete's like, I don't know, holding their knee or something, and you walk over to them and you're like, yo, you good? Like, yeah, I'm fine. And you literally just go like, dog, I'm on your side.
Yeah, that's true, man. And not a lot of people ever know what that's like. And I do agree with you to the point that like the money, yeah, when people think of athletes and money, they think of probably the best paid athletes in the league, whatever sport they're thinking of. But again, 1%. That's 1% of the league, right? A lot of these guys are like practice squad or making league minimum, and they got to figure their shit out after that too, because that's not enough money to set you up for life. Like, life's fucking expensive nowadays. Like, so they're putting their bodies on the line. They need you to have their back. Like, no questions asked. Because that's it. That's either they make it there or they have to figure out the next thing. And that's going to be tough when you've been bred your entire life just to do one thing.
Yeah, wild. So be ready for that type of shit if you want to be a coach. Now, look, be excited about that type of shit if you're a personal trainer and want to be a coach. I think you should be a personal trainer first before you want to be a coach. But you should ask yourself some pretty difficult questions, and it's okay if you're like, there's nothing romantic about being on the other side of it. The money's not really that much different. The experiences, depending on how you like your lifestyle, it might be a net negative. Like, unless you like to run and gun, I'll take on a lot of stress and be constantly checking highlight reels and scores all the time. Yeah. You can be a really good trainer, make a ton of bank, build a good business, and make an impact.
Right. I mean, I'll tell you this. I've worked with every type of client that there is, whether they're professional athletes, whether they're people that, I don't know, are coming back from a surgery, people that have been in chronic pain their entire life. And you will find more purpose being a trainer than you will being a high-level athletics coach. Right? I'll tell you that point blank, and I truly believe that. So if you're doing this, you need to understand why you are doing this before it becomes important to ascend the ranks. Because, like you said, you can make a better living than you and I make, or maybe even some of the league minimum guys, right, being a trainer, being a fucking trainer and getting people to lose weight. And we've seen it. We know people that do it, that make tons of money, have great lives doing that. But it comes down to, why are you doing what you're doing? And you need to have your why align with your aspirations as a trainer or a coach.
So there you have it. That's the difference. I mean, it was meant to be the difference between exercise and training, but I think we took the the first person shooter view of the problem, as most of you listening are coaches or personal trainers. So if you're interested and you're a personal trainer or a coach and you want to learn a little bit more about applied biomechanics, functional anatomy, or frankly a bit more, registration live, www.pre-script.com. Head on over now. Class starts May 1st. What will happen when you register? You'll get a confirmation email. You'll get your manual sent to you. You can start reviewing beforehand. You will get an email from Anna or the info@prescript.com inbox, apprising you of the details for how to register for labs, how to sign up for lectures, what times they are. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If not, guys, enjoy the rest of the week. We will see you all on the other side. Jay.
Yeah. Surround yourself with coaches that are great at what they do. Be part of the team. That's it.